Hello, I'm going to demonstrate a quick and easy upgrade to the Syma S107 controller. It only requires the controller itself, a Phillips screwdriver, and 2 needle nose pliers. One thing to note about the Phillips screwdriver is you should make sure that it can insert into the back pocket of the controller, otherwise it's not going to be useful to us in this demonstration. Anyways, I'll start by unscrewing these mounting screws in the back of the controller. One thing I also like to do is use a cloth, like a towel, for a backdrop. If you drop a screw, then you can still recover it without too much risk of it rolling off. Okay, I have 4 screws there. I have 1 more screw to go. And I still neglected to mention one. There's this pocket for the charging cord. You gently pull it out. You can expose this screw right here. I'll try to see if I can make it visible in the screen. But no matter, you should be able to see it if you do this yourself. Okay, you have 6 screws, a cover, and a controller. Now you can pull this controller apart, I believe. You set these little nubs aside. Now, the reason why I open this up is basically to show this return spring here. This return spring is used to return the throttle back to 0 when you let go. I personally prefer to have the throttle stay where it is when I let go. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take my pliers and very gently disengage it from the nub on the controller there. So there I have it. Now you can hold on to the spring without too much tension, and you can carefully pull out the screw. Actually, what I suggest doing is putting the screw back in its place, just in case you decide you don't like to do this. Now, the trickiest part of this little operation is to wind the spring back around if you want to add a little tension. What I would do is try to play with the controller. If you like the tension as it is, then you don't need to do the spring. You could probably even return the spring back into untensioned, but one end and screw it back down to this post here. Otherwise, what I personally like to do is to add a little bit of tension, because it on some of these controllers it can be a little bit floppy. So what I tend to do is take 2 needle nose pliers take 2 needle nose pliers like this, and then hook one end back around to the loop of the other end, and there I have a looped spring. And what I tend to do with this is put it around this tensioning arm on the, oh boy, okay, there was a little bit of a fault there. Let's try that again. Can loop this back around. Like that. And while we're at it, since I've exposed a possible problem with this approach, I'll try to crimp this part of the loop so it doesn't happen again, so it can't pop out so easily anyways. And then I take this little system, slide around this tensioning arm on the throttle control, And what I find is that this gives a nice amount of friction, so it's smooth, yet it wants to stay in place. And what you can do is try to run it. I left the batteries out just for demonstration. It may be a good idea to take the batteries out before you do this operation. But for all intents and purposes, I'm kind of done here. Although one thing you can do is, you see this, how much slack there is on this charging cord. You can lengthen the charging cord just a little bit by undoing the knot just a little bit, and then feeding a little bit more of that cable back in, feeding around, and just get us here. Now there's a lot less slack there. There's a little bit of slack. You want a little bit of slack, but now now you have maybe ½ an inch longer of a cord, which you may find helpful. Okay, now I guess you want to make sure you hold it tight before you put in the screws, and then hold it tight while you're putting in at least 2 screws, preferably the middle one on each side, like that. That way it can hold together. And now this is a little bit better way to test it. Make sure all the switches move, operating properly. You can turn the dial, you can adjust, and you can adjust the throttle, and then use the right knob in every direction. And when you're happy with it, you can put the screws back in. Like that. And you got this charging cord, which you want to fold to fit back in, and then carefully snap in. Okay, fold that in, carefully snap in the slider cover like that. Make sure you can close it nice and easy. If it doesn't close nice and easy, then you need to pull it back apart and try again. Anyways, there is a simple, no-cost upgrade, provided you have a few simple tools, 3 tools, which all of them you may have all of them in your toolbox, or you may not. I find it's worth having extra needle nose pliers anyways. But there we go. Thank you for watching.